Hello, and welcome to episode 22 of Novel Knits. My name is Danelle, and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about what I'm knitting and what I'm reading, and anything else that happens to come up while we're chatting together. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've had a lot more views and subscribers as of recently, so thank you so much. I'm so glad you're all here. If you're new, welcome. I usually start with a vital few where I talk about just a few personal things, get right into finished objects, works in progress, book club, and at the very end today I'm going to talk about my Etsy shop, which I don't bring up very often, but I'm going to be having a sale. So if you're interested in that, hang on to the very end. Otherwise, you can duck out whenever you want. I'm not gonna know. I'm so happy you're here with me today. I'm coming to you as always from my basement in southeastern Wisconsin. I live with my husband, our two kids, our dog Penelope, who is right next to me, may or may not make an appearance, and our fish Ang. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Novel Knit Girl, and I will have links to everything I talk about and everything about my current make-alongs listed below this video. So if you're new here, I am hosting 2 year-long make-alongs. The first one is called Sweater Year 2022. That's the hashtag. You can enter either on Instagram or my Ravelry group, which will be listed below this video. I believe it's Novel Knits Podcast Group. But yeah, that one is just what it sounds like. Let's make sweaters. You can make as many as you want. You can make one sweater, you can make a baby sweater, an adult sweater, cardigan, pullover, dog sweater. The only things not allowed are tank tops and vests, but you know what? My rules are more guidelines. Like, I'm not gonna kick anybody out if you enter a vest or a tank top in the finished object thread. So all are welcome, knitting and crochet. The other one is Shop Your Stash 2022, and that is also what it sounds like. Use the yarn we bought before. I was doing so well at the beginning of this year of not buying new yarn. I sort of have fallen off that a little bit, but I'm back. I am recommitting to not buying any more yarn because when I look at my stash, I realize I have everything I need. I'm good to go for a while. So let's use that yarn we've already invested in. And you can knit, you can crochet. Really, all crafts are welcome, but since you're here, it's probably gonna be knitting or crocheting. But if you're a cross crafter, cross stitch works, embroidery, sewing, anything that fits into Shop Your Stash is eligible. And same thing, you can enter on Instagram or Ravelry. Hashtags are below. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for participating. And it's not too late. So I draw quarterly prizes and I will have a big prize at the end of the year for both of them. This year for the quarterly prizes, I'm flipping it. So I believe it is Sweater Year 2022 that is going to be winning this awesome skein of Magpie Fibers. This is their swanky sock in Stitch Please, which is a great yarn. I love it. I think it's going to be a great prize. And for Shop Your Stash, I will gift you one pattern of your choice up to $10 from Ravelry or any other website that'll allow me to do so. So you get to choose any pattern and I will dye it for you. So I think that's all with the administrative stuff. And I am going to jump into Vital Few, which thank you so much to all of you who left such nice comments on my last video. I should not have recorded that video that day. I was, excuse me, I was feeling a little pressured to get a video out and I was just so tired. I had to cut a lot out because I just wasn't making sense. And so those of you who commented anything encouraging or just nice, thank you so much. It was really appreciated and it meant a lot to me because after I kind of thought about it, I thought I should have held off. I was too tired to record that video, but thank you so much. And I'm so glad that I'm getting to know you all through this channel. We've been really busy lately. We are well into baseball tournament season. Last weekend, my son had a tournament and it was terrible in every way. It was too far away but not far away enough to spend the night somewhere. And it was in Lake Geneva, which is like an hour away from us. So we ended up going back and forth 3 times. It was a moneymaker, so they charged a lot of money for spectators, which we didn't know going into it. I think our coach is a new coach, and I think he learned a lot from this tournament experience. And the boys, they won 1 out of 3 games, but on Saturday, their games were 12 hours apart with 2 hours of driving in between, and they just were not set up to even play well that night. It was it was a little disappointing, but I thought I would get so much knitting done, and I just didn't, because I had to do the drive on Saturday morning, so I didn't have 2 hours of knitting. And then I was not able to knit. It was just cold enough that my hands were really cold. So I just didn't get as much knitting done as I thought I would, but I did finish something because I did not go back for the nighttime game. So I'll get into what I did then. But yeah, other than that, I am on day 20 of the Whole 30. So if you watched my last video, I started the Whole 30 and I had mixed feelings about how it was going to go, and it's been going great. I don't know what to say. I was not excited about it. I still have moments of not being excited about it, but I am feeling really good. My energy levels have kind of evened out for sure, and so I don't feel so tired. And I'm just, it's not as hard as I thought it was gonna be. The big kind of thing for me is I haven't had a migraine, and this week of my life, I should be having a huge migraine, and I'm not having a migraine, so that's been really good. That's the reason I decided to try this, was because of my headaches, my migraines, my vertigo, and things have been going really well. So I don't know. I'm not ever going to tell anybody what to do. I feel this has been a good thing for me. I'm hoping to sort of have a modified version of this going forward. Obviously, this is not maintainable for life. I mean, maybe some people can, but I don't feel it's maintainable beyond 30 days for me, but I will certainly be more thoughtful about what I'm eating and paying attention to how it affects me in different ways. So it's been a really good experience, which I wasn't expecting. So I've been really, really pleased with how it's been going, and I've been feeling really good. So it's just been a really interesting experience, and I'm grateful for it. And that's all I gotta say about it. In terms of my knitting, I feel like I'm all over the place. I just want to cast on all the things. I'm really trying to be focused with my sweaters, keeping them in the forefront, but also allowing myself to, if there's something I really want to make, not stopping myself. I realized this month that I'm missing socks, and especially with summer sock camp starting with the crazy sock lady, everybody's knitting socks, and I miss socks. So I had a little bit of a sock cast on party and casted on all the socks. I'm even finding like I'm just in the mood for summer knitting. So I have a plan, which I'll get into later, about how I'm gonna maintain my summer sweater knitting goals this summer, but I'm definitely not like putting the super huge amounts of pressure on myself either. So that's it for Vital Few. 8 minutes in, a little bit longer today. Sorry about that. Let's get into finished objects, and I'm wearing one. It's like 99.9% finished. I'm wearing the Reluctant Homeschooler by Caitlin Hunter, and this is a bulky weight cardigan. I made it out of Picks City Tweed in their Aran weight, and I ended up holding it double. So I'll stand up really quick and just show you. It has pockets. And here are my buttonholes. I am so happy with this. I actually just put this on right before I started recording, so I didn't even try it on before like 10 minutes ago. It took about 3 days to dry after blocking it because it's really thick with the 2 strands of Aran held double. It's pretty heavy, but that's what I wanted, and I just really like it. So I worked on this last Saturday while my husband took our son to his tournament, and I was following the game on Game Changer. I don't know if any of you know that, but like basically it's an app where it'll show like basically what's going on in the game, and our boys were getting killed. So I was getting frustrated. So that's when I sewed on the pockets and wove all the ends. So I got this done, and these are the buttons that I'm going to use. They're from Katrinkles, and I have 3 of them, and I just have to sew them on. It'll probably happen this weekend because I don't feel like sewing on buttons during my knitting time during the week. It's just, to me, it's like finishing is not my favorite part of knitting anyway. So I'll probably do this over the weekend. And it's probably gonna take me 15 minutes. I just have to do it. But yeah, so I'm really happy with this. It grew a ton. The arms are almost too long. I was afraid the arms would be too long, but they're like perfect. Everything about it turned out perfect, which I can't believe because it shouldn't have. I made the smallest size because I held the yarn double and I just guessed that it would work. I did have some trouble keeping the stitch count correct. After you join for the sleeves, I was not loving it at that point. It's very awkward when you're knitting bottom up. And then I joined for the sleeves, and then there were a lot of decreases because you're going from, you know, I don't even remember what the stitch counts were, but from like this many stitches up to like this many stitches. So you're decreasing in these different areas, and I had a hard time. My stitch counts kept getting wrong, but you can't really tell. I mean, I guess that's the great thing about making it in dark yarn, but you can see there's kind of this line here, and they all look okay. So I'm not sure where my problems were, but I did have some issues where I would have to like do an extra decrease every now and then just to get the stitch count to line up. But other than that, it was great. It took longer than I expected for a bulky weight cardigan, and I think just because I didn't like the bottom up construction. Other than that, I'm super thrilled with the end result, and I think this is going to be a winter staple. I love it, and especially once I get the buttons on, I think it's going to look so cute. I did worry about having light buttons with the dark yarn, but then I was looking at other projects on Ravelry, and it doesn't seem that out of, like, I don't know. I think it's going to be cute. I really, really like the buttons. So that's my first finished object. My second one is the Wish You Were Here socks by the Kitchen Sink Designs. Sorry, just want to make sure I'm in the right place. Yes, and I used lolodidit, Loriginal You Look Beautiful baby yarn. So, sorry. So these, if you'll remember, they have the great lace panel going up each side. So they mirror each other. And these are from my friend Julie, who has a size US 6.5 foot. So they're very short, in my opinion, because I have larger feet than that. And they're like a mid shorty. So it's not like shorty, but like it gives just a little bit of space there. I think these will be great for her. I've made her socks before and she loves them and wears them often. And this is just a different style. I followed the directions exactly. So I did the heel flap and gusset, and this stitch pattern is so memorizable that I could probably cast on another pair right now and recall the stitch pattern. In fact, I might, because I really, really enjoyed making these a lot. So I'm like bouncing all over the place here, but beautiful yarn. I just absolutely adored this project, and I have definitely enough yarn to make a pair for myself, which I may. And then finally, I have the April shower socks. These are by Twin Stitches Designs. And I think I thought these were my first colorwork socks, and I don't believe they are, but because I made the police box socks in the past as well from Doctor Who. If you've watched previous episodes, you'll have seen them. But yeah, so these are my second colorwork socks, and I really, really liked making these. These were so fun. They flew off the needles. So the main color is a lolodidit club yarn. It was the Quotable Dumbledore Club, and this was one of them. I don't remember what it was, but I just love it. It's such a delicate color with the ecru maybe and blues. Anyway, it's awesome. I don't know, this was a leftover from one of my Stephen West shawls, and then these colors in here were either lolodidit or Leading Men Fiber Arts minis. This one you cannot really see. You can sort of see it here, but it was actually unbelievably close to this color that I didn't really realize how close they were until after I was knitting it, and I just decided to go with it anyway. it was fun. I really enjoyed making these a lot. I did a fish lips kiss heel, which in her pattern, she gives you options for if you want to do a heel flap and gusset, follow these instructions. If you want to do a short row heel, follow these. I just decided to do the fish lips kiss heel. I'm not sure what her short row heel was because I didn't read through it, but great design. These were a lot of fun. I will be doing more colorwork socks this year for sure, but I enjoyed everything about these. They were great. All right, I got to take my dog around the block and then I'll be back with my works in progress. For works in progress, I'm going to start with what you've seen already before I get into my new cast-ons. So I'm going to start with my Outstanding shawl, which is still in this awesome bag by Jessalyn Janice. Here's her tag. I just love this bag. Everything about it is great. I would highly recommend her bags. But the Outstanding shawl, I have 100% fallen out of love with working on. I will finish it because I don't want it to be a long-term whip, but it is on like a schedule. Right now it's off schedule, but I will get it back on a schedule where I do like 4 rows a night until it's done. I will be on the bottom border when I pick it up again, but it's a lot of purling in the shawl. Like, it's a lot. Way more than I was expecting. And not like fun, just easy purling. Like actually a purl row on this shawl feels quite relaxing. I started out really loving it, and then when I got into the color work, it really got hard for me. So here's where we're at. I mean, it's really pretty and I really like it. It's kind of all like bunched up right now, but I did get through all of the color work. Here, I'll hold it like this so you can kind of see. I had a really hard time with it. I think perhaps this is a pattern that would be easier if you were a continental knitter as opposed to a thrower. I'm an English style thrower and I'm like pretty hardcore. Like I literally wrap the yarn every time. I don't do any kind of flicking or anything to make my life easier. I throw and wrap. I am definitely a thrower. So perhaps if you're continental, this would not be so hard. Yarn management was difficult. There was one blue row where the stitches are kind of wonky because I was just having a hard time getting into the rhythm of it. And the rows took a long time because it was a lot of shifting yarns around. Just hasn't ended up being my favorite thing. But the yarn that I'm using is from Daisy Stitch Co. and it's their Texas Strong Fingering, and I bought a neutrals kit for this shawl. So before I go any further really quickly, someone left a comment about how I was very talking a lot about how this was going to be my year of less and that I should talk about when I'm using stash yarn and when I'm not. And I 100% agree with you because I did really well until about April. And then I've had kind of a couple rough months of purchasing some yarn, and I've decided I'm cutting myself off again, and I will definitely do a better job. Every finished object that I showed today, all the yarn was in my stash prior to 2022. For this one, I did end up buying a few extra balls of yarn that I ended up not needing. So technically this is still all stash. And both of those pairs of socks were stash yarn. And my stash is not, most things in it are not super old because I do tend to turn my stash over every once in a while. What I mean by that is I will list yarn on eBay and then I replace it with different yarn. So every time I destash yarn, I end up restashing it in a different way. So my yarn, I probably have a few things in there that are 5-6 years old, but a lot of it is within the last like 3 years that it's kind of been turned over. Maybe 4. But this was a new purchase this year for this make-along. The make-along has now ended. I believe it was Yarnia and Nitty Natty who were hosting the Outstanding Shawl knit-along. And I mean, I really do love how this looks. I think it's going to be a great wearable shawl. It's just hasn't been the most pleasurable to knit. And I will fully admit, I love making shawls until you get to the point where there's a million stitches on my needles. And then I fall a little out of love with shawls anyway. So then this one having like yarn management and like it was just a hard one for me. Not hard like I couldn't do it, but hard in that it was more fiddly and I wanted a more relaxing knit. So this one, when I got to the color section, each color is about four rows back and forth with the changing colors. So I would get through 4 rows a night. And then once I finished the color work, I just decided to take a pause. And I'll come back to it. But my main color is this lovely, beautiful, kind of sandy color. And then my contrast colors for the stripes were these. So there's quite a bit of yarn left because these are done. All 4 of these are finished now. And you can see, like, I kind of expected the colors to be a little brighter. They're very, very muted. I like it a lot. I was just expecting the colors to pop a bit more. And then my border color, which I have to add on, is this. So then the border will be in this, and I think I'm not positive, I haven't started it yet, but I think it's a seed stitch border. So that's another reason why I'm like, it's a lot of purling. And a lot of, for me, moving my yarn from front to back. So that is why I'm not loving this shawl, but I think I'm gonna love the finished object. So hopefully that will be done in the next, I'm gonna give myself 2 episodes. So let's say like by July. I would love to have this finished by July because I have some other shawls that I started 1 to 2 years ago that I would like to finish this year as well. Plus I have new ones that I want to cast on because I always want to cast on new shawls. Let me put the pattern back in there so that I don't lose it. Okay, and the other whip that you have seen is my Rocket Tee by Tanis LaValle. And this is, I was on a roll before, if you haven't watched my last episode. I started the Rocket Tee, which is fingering weight and mohair. So you do like a stripe of fingering, a stripe of mohair. And for some reason when I read the pattern, even though the pattern does not say this, I read hold your mohair double. So I ran out of yarn. And I ran out of yarn when I was feeling very motivated on this sweater. And then I got the yarn and I had to wind it. I hate winding yarn. Does anybody else hate winding yarn? I hate winding yarn. So then it sat for like a week and a half while I didn't wind it. And so then I had a big yarn winding day. And my yarn winder, I asked for a new one for my birthday from my husband. I think I'm gonna get a good Stanwood one because I was swearing and so angry. I had a bad yarn winding day. So I think I have a new yarn winder coming, which I'm very excited about, but I just don't love winding yarn. So then I got it wound and I'm just not in the mood for it right now. But I have put on, since I got the new yarn, I put on, well, here's where we are so far. I believe I have about 2 more repeats of the stripes and then I think I can bind off. So I was here when I ran out of yarn, so I've knit this much more. So I finished this mohair stripe, I did the fingering stripe, and then I'm about halfway maybe through this mohair stripe. It does look big, and I didn't know, but I've been hearing people say that that's a complaint about this pattern, is that it comes out big. And then if this stretches even more, this could end up being really, really huge on me. But I'm okay with it. I can tuck it in. I'll always wear something underneath it because mohair, but it's coming along. And I might say all that and it might fit me perfectly. I haven't tried it on yet because for some reason I have these barber cords, Knitting Barber cords, and I believe I'm supposed to have a third. But when I look in my tin, I don't know where it is. So yeah, it says I'm supposed to have one 60-inch and two 30-inch. So I must have the 60-inch on something else? I don't know. I have no idea where it is. I have the pony bead lacing, so I'll just grab some of that and use that. But I had this in here so that I could try it on, and then it wasn't there. So I think I'll try this on tonight, maybe while I'm working on it. And because like when I stand up, I still think it needs a little bit more length for where I like my sweaters to hit. And I would like it long enough that if I want to tuck it in the front with a pair of jeans, that I can. So it's coming along. I'm close. I can say with confidence, this is priority number one. This will be done by the next time I record, because it's starting to linger and I'm starting to not love on it. And it's gray. And although it's a beautiful gray, I didn't even say what yarn I'm using. I'm sorry. So this is the Rocket Tea by Tanis LaValle. And the yarn I'm using is Tanis Fiber Arts. Ooh. Tanis Fiber Arts. I purchased a kit, and it's the Pure Wash fingering and her mohair, which I'm holding double. And it's gray, but if you look, you can maybe see those hints of color that come in, and the mohair has that too. And I've noticed with the mohair, it almost looks more like an oil sheen. It's really pretty. And then this is the ball of yarn. So you can see those speckles a little bit. I really like the yarn, and I'm gonna love this t-shirt, hopefully, I hope, when it's done. But it is like the gray, it's getting gloomy. I need some color. So I'm ready for it to be finished. I think it's gonna be nice though. Oh, come on up then. Come on up. Penelope's here. She got a haircut yesterday, so she looks kind of funny. But it's coming along. It will be done, because how I'm sort of spacing my sweater knitting out getting into the summer is I'm choosing two sweaters that are like my main focus. So like right now it was the Reluctant Homeschooler and the Rocket Tea. And until these two are done, I'm not really allowing myself to get too much into another project. I did start the Hug You Me, which I showed last time. I haven't done anything on that since. So next will be the Hug You Me, and then I'm hoping to cast on the Miserina sweater. But I am also like hit by, and this is going to be like a little insert in between my whips and my whips portion here. I'm going to talk about what I'm planning. But I've been hit by the summer sweater bug really a lot. So my next cast-ons, and I'm just inserting this here instead of at the end. I want to make, this has been on my list for several years and I haven't made it yet. It's called the Cancun Lace Top by Erin Kate Archer. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I have some, I think, Kotlin, Knit Picks Kotlin, and I just thought, you know what, this is the year, I'm gonna make it. And then the next, after, the Miserina and Hug You Me, my next bigger cast on is gonna be, this one's also on my Make 9, so I've got to sneak my Make 9s in here, the Metropolis by Tanis LaValle. And this one I also bought this exact yarn, so it will be this sweater. And then finally, I think, this is a terrible picture, I really apologize. My new printer, apparently the ink is already running out. I'm gonna make the Dingley Dell by Isabel Kramer. So kind of similar to the Rocket Tea, and I'm gonna make that in some Kotlin, which is a cotton linen blend from Knit Picks. And then I want to cast on a Ripple bralette by Jessie Made Designs as well. So those are kind of my upcoming sweaters that I hope to cast on. So I really want to get this one off the needles because I'm really looking forward to some of these new cast-ons. Are you gonna say hello? She's so funny. All right. So then randomly, I decided to make my first gnome. So the Make Gnome Mistake knit along has been going on by Sarah Shura. I think that's how you say her name. It's Imagine Landscapes. And I was watching the clues come in and I wasn't doing them because I think I've purchased her make-alongs in the past and I haven't ever made a gnome yet. And this one, I don't know, I just really wanted to make it. I'm only done with clues 1, 2, and 3. So if you want to be surprised, look away for a couple seconds. This is not going to take long. But I started his little hat. I finished his little hat. So this is the hat for the Make No Mistake Cal. You'll see I kind of screwed up my decreases right here on both sides, but it doesn't bother me. It is so cute. I love it. This is going to be a bigger gnome than I was expecting. I do think my blue yarn is probably a sport weight, but I know this main color is Yarn Ink Ember, and it's a tweed. So I really like how it looks. It's really, really, really cute. So I think there's 3 more clues if I'm correct. I'll probably do this over the summer. He's gonna be, as long as he's ready by the fall and holiday season, I'll be happy. I might even make a second gnome. I like them so much and it's really fun to knit. So Make No Mistake, I've got his hat done and I'm really excited to make the rest of him. He looks so, so, so cute. So when it comes to mystery knit-alongs, I have to look. I can't stand mysteries, and a lot of times looking is what makes me want to participate, which is what happened with this sweet, cute little hat. So I have a gnome coming eventually. He's gonna live in my house. Sorry, I need a drink of water. I'm sure it's not all the mohair from my rocket tea. Okay, and then I also casted on twice for my son a pair of socks. So he picked out this opal sock yarn. It is the Van Gogh series and it's color 5435. And he wanted a pair of socks out of this. And I started these originally cuffed down and I had my son try with 54 stitches and I had my son try them on and he could get them on, but they were tight. So then when I had to restart, I just decided to start toe up. And I'm just doing toe up. I did the magic cast on, I think Judy's magic cast on. I should probably look it up. And then I just am doing 2x2 ribbing on the front of the foot and then just stocking it on the back. And I will be doing an afterthought heel on these as well, but I think what I'm going to do when I do the afterthought heel is do it the way Susan B. Anderson has in her smooth operator sock pattern where you add waste yarn. I'm not going to try to do the true afterthought heel again because with my daughters, I don't know, it's not a problem when I do it on a sock tube, but for some reason I had a hard time on my daughter's socks. So these are coming along. I don't know what I was going to say there. One reason I wanted to start a lot of socks is not just because I miss them and not just because of summer sock camp, but I wanted socks to bring to these baseball games because I'm going to have a lot of them. So I figured if I could kind of chip away. That's a better way of saying it. Chip away at some of these socks while I'm at baseball tournaments. That'd be great because I like the Muscle Burra. I am hoping to finish it, but it was not bringing the team a lot of luck. So I'm going to change it up with some different socks and see if I can find some lucky socks. I am superstitious. I can't help it. This is in another Jessalyn Janice bag. They're just so good. Might be my new... I have a lot of favorite bag makers, so I'll just add this to my favorites. And then the Rocket Tee was in this tote by Mrs. Brown's Bag. I don't remember what this color was, but I loved it. I have 2 Mrs. Brown's bags, and every once in a while I think I want another one, and I just can't. All right, and this sock does not have a project bag yet because I just haven't gotten there. I casted on a pair of Rose City Rollers by Mara Catherine Briner, and I'm using Rose Hill yarn, light fingering, in a flutter is the color. So here's the colors. And can I just say, I think this is gonna be like this mint blue is my summer color. It's all I want. I don't even know if it would look good on me, but this is my summer color. This is all I want for summer. This color over and over again. So I'm doing the Rose City Rollers, which I believe is a free pattern. I'm sorry, I have ends all over the place. And I finished the heel yesterday, so it's very, very teensy right now. But I'm at a point now where I could bring this to a baseball game and do my gusset decreases and be happy. I have made a pair of Rose City Rollers before. It was when I went to New Orleans for a work trip. I went to a yarn shop there and I got a skein of yarn. I believe it was from La Jolla Yarns. Does that sound correct? And it was in a colorway that they dyed for the shop that was like New Orleans inspired. I didn't really like it, but I bought it anyway. Very bright, like greens, purples, yellows, you know, like the Mardi Gras colors. And I was still a newish sock knitter, and I made a pair of Rose City Rollers. And for some reason, I did one pair with the gusset correct, and one pair where I did the decreases, like, I don't even know where it's wrong. I did them wrong. I think I may have even used double pointed needles, and that's why they were wrong, possibly. But they were like on the wrong part of the foot. It still worked, and I could wear them, but it really bothered me. And so I ended up just putting them in the Goodwill pile because I wasn't really thrilled with the yarn. And since I messed up the pattern, I just didn't keep them. And now, of course, I regret that, and I wish I had them. But anyway, so these are my new Rose City Rollers, and I just love it. I think they're gonna be great. So I think that's it. I had the Outstanding, Rocket Tee, Make No Mistake, Milo socks. Oh, I have one more sock. One more new cast on. I'm just, ooh, I've got yarn all over the place. This is the bag I was using for my April shower socks. And I had so much yarn left over. So this is how much of that Dumbledore Club yarn, it's all over the place, is left over. And then the dark blue that I used is this color called Bravery from lolodidit. So these are both lolodidits, and they're great. So I decided to make both my husband and I a pair of Journey socks. And these are by Margaret, which is Heidi and Lana, I think. I could be wrong, and I apologize for that. So I've been wanting to make these socks. A lot of people have been talking about them, particularly Maddie and Kristen from We Share Needles, and I've seen them in a couple other places as well. So I'm not very far. These are really cool, interesting, different construction. So I casted on these Bravery ones for my husband. I'm gonna be really interested to see if these fit, because it's kind of like a one size pattern. So the stitch count, you know, you make your foot as long as you need to, but everything's the same for the ankle and where I'm at. So I'm gonna have him try them on before I get to where we would start my toe decreases, just in case it doesn't work for him. If you've made these and you know that I'll be okay, let me know. He doesn't have huge feet. I am a US women's 8.5 and he's a US men's 10.5. I'm gonna be really interested to see how these fit and if we like them. So stay tuned. I should be able to at least have one done by the next time I see you. So that is it. And if I didn't say it before, this bag is from Craft House Magic, Ellie. And she's got a really nice podcast as well. I really enjoy watching her. She's in England, and I watch a lot of different kinds of podcasts, I feel. I'm trying to diversify some of my podcasts a little bit more, but I really like Ellie. She is across the pond and she's just always so happy, and she's got a little baby Jensen that she shows on each episode now, and something that he handmade that he's got, and she's just really, really sweet. And I think I wore this t-shirt the last time I recorded. It's clean, I promise. But yeah, I've found a lot of new podcasts recently because there seemed to be like a lag in, not a lag, but like I was all caught up with everybody, you know? So I kind of looked and I got some recommendations, and I've been watching some new podcasts recently. So maybe next week I'll make a list of some of the podcasts I've been watching in case you're interested. But I try to bring them up when they come up with either as being inspiration for something I'm knitting or reading. But yeah, I'll try to start listing off some of them because they're good people out there and they're fun to watch. Okay, that is all for my works in progress. I'm going to go into my book club next. I finished Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I listened to that on Audible. I thought that one was pretty good. I have some like feelings sometimes about Colleen Hoover books. I've read, I think this is my it's my fourth, and it was pretty good. I would give it like 3.5 stars. Definitely has some adult content, but it is just sort of a story about two people in a relationship, and he says, you know, it's strictly going to be physical. Don't expect me to be your boyfriend. And, you know, she's falling for him, feels like he's falling for her, and sort of how they have to work through that. So it was a pretty straightforward story, which I appreciated, because the last Colleen Hoover book that I read, I think, was Verity. And I didn't hate it, but I was like, ooh, that was messy. I still think that my favorite Colleen Hoover book was It Ends With Us, because the plot line, to me, I still never saw it coming. And but the thing I like about Colleen Hoover's books is like there's not a lot of extra. You've got the characters you need, you've got the storyline you need. You're not going on these long rambling, you know, paragraphs about scenery. And although I believe that adds a lot to a lot of different stories, for her stories, she gets pretty into your characters very quickly. And sometimes I'm just in the mood for that. And I liked this one. I didn't love it, but I liked it. So if you're looking for a romance book, this one was pretty good. I also finished American Predator, The Hunt for the Most Meticulous Serial Killer in America, which I am so sorry. I forgot to write the author's name down, which is terrible. But if you write that title in to Amazon or Google, it should come up. And I always have a hard time talking about true crime books, especially one like this. So this was a book about Israel Keyes, who, if you know nothing about him, your life is probably better. He is a guy that basically put kill kits all around the United States and just wanted to kill people. And it's kind of, I didn't feel like I learned anything new from reading this book than I did from listening to true crime podcasts, but it was well written, pretty well researched. It's heartbreaking no matter how you squeeze it. It's worth a read if, like I said, if you don't know anything about the case. It's really interesting, and it brings up a lot of interesting points, such as how, you know, the Alaskan, where are they from in Alaska? Because I don't want to say all of Alaska, but the police, it's a well-known town, I just can't remember right now, but the police force in his town in Alaska, how they sort of botched the investigation, and really how they got him to give them everything they needed to convict him. So it was an interesting read, but I don't think it was anything new. So if you're interested in true crime, it's worth reading, but again, nothing new. Currently, I'm reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is a book I am reading for the Books and Beanies make-along hosted by We Share Needles and Professor Pearl, which is Nicole. And this is not a book I ever would have picked up without this knit-along. Basically, you read this book, or any book I assume they would allow, and make a hat. So hopefully I will finish my muscle burra in this time. That's kind of what I'm planning for this Books and Beanies. And this is a great book by a Japanese author, and it's just sweet. It's sort of, because it's a translated novel, there is some I wouldn't say lost in translation, but there are some cultural things that maybe don't translate perfectly. So there are times when I get like kind of pulled out, or I think like, oh, that doesn't sound like real, but it just because it's not real for me doesn't mean it's not plausible, you know, in this book. And so there's 4 different stories within the novel. They all take place in this coffee shop, and there's a seat you can go to, and you can travel back in time to speak with someone, but you only have as much time as until your coffee gets cold, and you have to drink all the coffee before it gets cold. And it's heartwarming, it's sweet, it's a little sad, and I'm enjoying it. And like I said, I would not have picked this up on my own, and it did take me a little while to get into it, but now that I'm into it, I do really enjoy it. And it's one of those books that I feel like I'm gonna miss when it's over, if that makes sense. Not that the characters are that, like, I'm not super attached to the characters, but there's something very sweet about these people who just want a chance to go spend 15-20 minutes speaking to someone, and the reason that they want to. And it's good. I'm enjoying it. And then I am still reading The Magic Hour by Kristen Hanna. I am now this far, and it is okay. It's become less of a caricature of itself, and now it's starting to develop where I'm starting to understand the characters and enjoy them a bit more. At first it just felt like these stereotypical, like, small town policeman, sister who's had some drama, and, you know, the weird townspeople, and now it's coming together. So the plot of this is a young girl shows up in town. She's sort of a feral girl from what I can tell, and everybody's really interested in where she's coming from. And so there's the policeman who's trying to figure out who she is, where she came from. Her sister, who's a child psychologist, of course, who just had some major drama, comes to town to try to help the girl. The very good-looking doctor who's there to help. And then a whole, like, spattering of other people. So it's getting better, but it is so slow. And then when I thought back to when I read both The Great Alone and The Nightingale, both Kristen Hanna books, both of those took me a really long time to get through as well. So I think it's just, I enjoy her books, but they are not speedy for me. So I'm hoping, let's make a goal here. I'm hoping to be at least here by the next time we speak. That might be pushing it, but you gotta have goals, right? And that's it for right now. I don't know what I'll start listening to after When the Coffee Gets Cold. I'm leaning towards Station 11. Yeah, I think I'll do Station 11. So I've been wanting to read that. I watched the miniseries on HBO and I loved it. And then when I looked up the book on Amazon, a lot of the reviews were very negative, which makes me really curious. So even if it's not great, I should be able to get through it on Audible. But that series on HBO was so good. If you have HBO, I highly recommend it. It was great. I'm having a lot of emotions right now. Okay, well, that does it for book club today. I felt like I went through that pretty quick. So let me know what you're reading. Do you guys read true crime, or is that just me? I don't know. I've always read true crime. I think I read Helter Skelter when I was 16 about the Charles Manson murders, and I've just always had a part of me that is interested in it. And I don't know. I don't have a good reason. So I'm going to move into my Etsy shop a little bit. We are having a sale from now until June 16th, or 17th. If you use the code PENCIL, PENCIL 10, you can have 10% off everything in the shop. So if you're unfamiliar, our shop is called Pencil and String. It is on Etsy. There is a link for it below this video, so you don't have to try to search on Etsy because I know that can be a nightmare. I sell some hand-dyed yarn and some knitted items. My sister-in-law is an artist, and she recently started putting her drawings in frames, and then she makes pom-pom wreaths. So if you can buy yarn, you can buy a pom-pom wreath, you can buy something of everything, you can buy nothing and just admire. You don't have to do anything. I'm never like, it's very difficult for me to like advertise my shop because it feels such like we're so little, but we are doing the sale. We're trying to just kind of clear out some inventory so we can be creative and create some new things. So if you're interested, Pencil 10, the code will be below along with the website. And thank you so much if you've been watching this long, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know this was a pretty long episode. I always have more to say than I think I do, so I guess that's a good thing. I really enjoyed doing this. I wasn't sure. There was a time like 6 months ago where I thought maybe I just shouldn't do this anymore, and I'm glad I didn't quit. Glad that I'm here. I'm glad I'm getting to know all of you, and it's really, really been fun. Well, I hope you all are doing well, and I can't wait to hear what you're reading, what you're working on. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you. I'm gonna aim for the week of June 15th. I don't know when, but I'm gonna try. So I'll see you soon. Bye.